In this tutorial, we are going to be looking at how to cut out a model or an object to put on top of a masthead within the magazine. You guys are going to be working on doing a practice image first and then applying this to your final magazine cover. Here are two examples of having the model or the person on the cover of the magazine partially covering or completely covering the masthead. So the one on the left here is almost completely covering the masthead. However, since it's a really well-known magazine, such as Vogue, you automatically can kind of tell what the magazine title is just by looking at the first and last letter here. So we know that this is Vogue. However, a less well-known magazine cover, such as this one here, Wired, or the one that you will be creating, is not going to be as well-known or recognizable. So make sure that you are not covering too much of your masthead as you are creating your final magazine covers. Once you have this picture downloaded from Classroom, you are going to be opening it up in Photoshop. So this is important that you have it open in Photoshop and not Illustrator at this point. Right now we have our background layer and it's locked right here. So I need to unlock my background layer. So I'm just going to click on that lock and it unlocks it. That way I'm able to edit this version. The reason why we have Photoshop open right now to work with is because you need to get rid of the background. So you want just this outline or just this model without that purple background. So when we place it in InDesign, you're able to place it on top of your masthead instead of the background color covering your masthead. So to get started, we're going to use the Quick Selection tool. That's found on the left tool panel over here. Right now I have the Quick Selection tool selected. It looks like a little paintbrush with a little dotted outline. However, you might have the magic wand that pops up first for you. So if this icon is showing up for you, click and hold it down to pull up another option, which brings up the Quick Selection tool. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to start selecting and outlining my figure here. So I'm just clicking and dragging with my mouse across my image to select just the girl here and not the background. If you look at your selection closely, you'll be able to see that it might not pick up the eye and eyebrow. So if you need to add that to your selection, make sure that in this upper left-hand corner where the settings for your selection tool are, that you have this plus button selected where it, if you hover your mouse over it, it will say add to selection. That way I can add this eye and eyebrow to my selection. Let's say you accidentally selected too much. So you accidentally selected the background, so you can see this dotted outline going around my outline or around my background that I don't want. That's when I would use this minus or subtract from selection tool that's in this upper left hand corner. So I'm going to click on that and subtract this background that I don't want from my selection. And then again, I subtracted too much, so I can go back to my plus button and reselect part of the face. The next step is going to be refining the edge. If I zoom in on this, so I'm hitting Command plus to zoom in, I can really see that my outline isn't completely accurate. So I have part of my cheek missing over here. I have too much of the background selected over here. So an easier way, instead of just constantly going back and forth with the plus and minus button with the selection tool, an easier way to do this is called Select and Mask. So mine is showing up right here where it says Select and Mask at the top of the screen. Yours might not be there for you, so if it is not there, you have to go to Select at the top of your screen and then down to Select and Mask. So I'm going to click on that, Select and Mask, and yours is going to start out and look something like this. What you want to do is click on the far right where it says View Mode under Properties. Click on the View and select the Overlay. So it looks like there's a little bit of pink in the background. I'm going to click on that. And basically what this is telling me is what I have selected and what I don't. And this is going to help me to really refine my selection. So if you look closely, if I zoom in, you can see that some areas, such as this background here or parts of the hair, need selected or to be part of my selection, or I need to take them away from my selection. So an easy way to do that is on the left over here where there's some different tools to work with. I'm going to select the second one down, so the Refine Edge Brush tool, And I'm going to start refining the edge by just basically painting around the outline. As you're painting around the outline, it's going to automatically do the work for you. So I'm just painting and it's filling in parts of the hair that I don't want selected, and it's just really helping me to refine the edge, doing all the work for me so I don't have to kind of smooth out those edges. So as you're going all the way around, you'll start to see that it really does a nice job of outlining for you and picking up what you need and getting rid of what you don't. So over here in the hair, it's going to get rid of that background that's in those in-between sections of the curls of the hair, and just really continues to refine my edge. So I'm going to go all the way around and make sure I have a really nice selection. And as soon as you're done, hit OK in the bottom right hand corner. And then it comes back up here with your selection, and this is all refined, so you have a nice outline. The last step is to actually delete and get rid of the background. So to do that, all you need to do is add a mask to your image or to this layer. So to add a mask, if you go into your layers panel over here, the mask is this little square with the circle inside of it. So it's down by the trash can, but just a couple over. So I'm going to click that square with the circle in it for the mask, and it automatically gets rid of the background for me. The last step is to save this. So I'm going to go up to File, Save As, and when I save this, I want to make sure, this is important, I want to make sure it's saved as a Photoshop format. Not JPEG, but Photoshop. So I'm going to leave that as a Photoshop format. I'm going to call this background, or I'm going to actually call this cutout, and I'm going to save it somewhere I can find it easily, so I'm saving mine to the desktop. Then I'm going to hit save, and it saves my cutout. Now go into InDesign and continue with the next tutorial.